We already had Coach McCarthy on at 6:30, and now it's time for the Hall of Fame owner and general manager before the Seahawks Thursday night on Amazon Prime. Good morning, Jerry. How you doing?
Hey, Bobby, Sean. Good morning to you.
Jerry, how do you think the Amazon thing has worked out so far?
Well, I'm excited about the. I'm real excited about for instance, the Friday prospect we had, the Black Friday prospect. Mm-hmm. Those are the kinds of things that I think when I look around the corner, that you're going to have, because I think our ability to go to so many people can ultimately be refined so that it can go directly to the product. I've seen, for instance, us have messages on television with the Cowboys, and we can measure the phones ringing at the Pizza Hut place. That basically shows you just how attentive and who's watching. So my point is that Amazon allows us a great way to look to the future on that kind of direct impact of people watching our games.
Did you get your fill of turkey and Dolly last Thursday?
Oh boy, I'm telling you, I have. It is. I hate to see it go. I started with chicken gizzards, turnip greens, with chicken and dumplings, and that was about 2:00 in the morning, Friday morning. I'd been down to Austin to watch that game, and ended up in Missouri about 2:00 in the morning, and sitting there eating that kind of menu.
Are you gonna try and get any? You mentioned going down to Austin. Are you gonna try and get to AT&T Stadium for the Big 12 title? Watch the Longhorns play there.
Well, of course, we're such a fan of college football at AT&T Stadium, and we're excited about this game. I'm going to try to get any game that we can possibly get out there, especially now that they've done some reconfiguration and have these great teams. Really, a team like Texas or A&M over in that Southeastern Conference now, we'd like to see those games, some of those more significant games, be here, because it's become even more central to where these teams are.
Jerry, let's talk about AT&T for a second. Like the Cowboy home field advantage is never really mentioned in terms of like the best home fields in the NFL, but your numbers are staggering. The wins, the point differential, the dominance. We talked to Coach McCarthy about this a short while ago. What can you say about playing at home, the advantage in Arlington, and just what you're doing at AT&T this season?
At home, we'll have certainly more Cowboy fans, just be trite to say, than on the road. But we're usually playing before anywhere from 10 to 15 more thousand people than we play on other stadiums around the league. And so you add that volume to the fact that we've got Cowboy fans, and that really makes a positive place to be playing, and it excites me to no end. It's a fruition, if you will, of what I've always dreamed of, and that's having a great fan participation at the games. As you well know, you've heard me say many times, only 7% of our fans have ever been inside an NFL stadium. So it is just a coup to be able to have the kind of fans that we've got at our stadium in this area, relative to every aspect of playing these games.
Jerry, we've heard a lot of discussion leading up to this meeting, whenever it's scheduled for, with Shaq Leonard. Coach McCarthy told us earlier today that he's excited to get to meet him. What do you guys see in him as a player, and can you tell us when you anticipate meeting with him?
It's not real hard to look and see what kind of player he's been. He's been outstanding during his career. We'll want to check his health, see where he is, see where his current right now this year, for the rest of the year. We'll look at that, and that's what he's doing right now as we're speaking. And I'll have a little lunch with him while he's here.
You know, when you bring a guy in and you have a player like this and you've got guys on your team who have played with him before, Malik Hooker, Stephon Gilmore, do you get their opinions on him? Do you ask them questions about, you know, how he is in the locker room and how he is as a teammate?
Yeah, of course, a player like him, you don't have any questions. His contribution away from the football field is well known. You can look at probably any log in a newspaper and see that he's a big positive on a team, has great respect, has great experience. All of those things are given and accurate in his case. And when you played as long as he's played, at the level that he's played, then this isn't a hard scouting job at all. Now, the question is where he is in his career, as well as where he is health-wise, is what it's all about as far as evaluating anything. Now, the next thing is how do you get something worked out if, in fact, all that other fits.
Jerry Jones here on 105.3 The Fan every single Tuesday. Jerry, there are some reports out there that Philadelphia is waiting for their Shaq Leonard visit after you guys. Does that factor in whatsoever? Because the immediate fan reaction is you can't let him get out of the building. Is that a fan reaction thing or reality?
Doesn't surprise me at all. I don't know that you need to stop there. There's probably several teams that he can make a contribution to, and this thing probably does not have a financial aspect to it as far as competition between the teams.
Can you remember your last "we're not letting him out of the building till we get this done" situation? Was it Mike McCarthy?
Well, of course, that can only go so far, but yes, I do, and we've got a pretty attractive situation for any player because of not only the way we play it, but also the just the aura of the Cowboys and our fan base, and this area is a tremendously attractive area for any players, and so many of these players come from within striking distance of Dallas, whether they're coming from the team and living in the area they're playing in, or whether they live other places and play with the team and commute. Texas, Dallas, this area is one of the premier places to live anywhere.
Jerry Jones here on The Fan. Speaking of Philadelphia, we're watching these games with great anguish and disgust at the very end, Jerry. They always seem to be pulling out these victories as we're trying to hope they come back by a loss or two to make the rematch even bigger in Arlington. How are you taking in some of these Eagles games that they keep pulling out?
What have I done to deserve this? Why can't that ball bounce the right way? All of those things go through your mind, but it just reminds me of all of the ways that you are involved in many, many perspectives of the NFL and the impact of games. And, of course, you think that you've got to have this team, you've got to win this game if you've got the opportunity. Some of that is correct. But on the other hand, you got to remember you can play anybody out here and have the same opportunity to move up closer to the playoff advantage because anybody can beat anybody. And so I look at it, but I don't look at it as long gone, chance missed as much as you might think when they get close to a game like they had the other night. And we thought that Philadelphia was going to get a second loss. Didn't happen. Again, you got to roll back over and just think about what you're doing.
Jerry, you mentioned after the game the other day that, you know, you don't know if you've had a day like this, and you said you'd include them all, put Super Bowls in there. What was it about the Thanksgiving game, that Thanksgiving day, that was so unique for you?
Well, the festiveness that you knew that didn't know how much, but when you're rolling in there at about 45 million people view, I think my statistics show that there were as many as at one time as many as 48 million people watching the game, or sets tuned in, or whatever measurement there is there. But all I know is it's one of the most watched games ever. When you realize that you're getting to be a part of that, and then you put together an impressive win, if you will, not obviously first for us, but then for that audience, and then have an icon like Dolly Parton sitting there with, you will, really promoting the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders. And those kinds of things are really not only rewarding, but they're productive. The most important thing about the day that I was referring to, though, is what this did for the people that the Salvation Army serve, because this just reminded better than it's ever done. And Dolly had a lot to do with it. I think she made a contribution to the Red Kettle of $1 million. That'll feed over 2.5 million people Thanksgiving dinner. 2.5 million for what she did. And when you think that that was going out to the millions of people, I dare say how much more that put in those red kettles over the next month or two that wouldn't have gone in there had they not been sitting there reminded of what it does. That's what the guys jumping in the kettle do. That's what the whole show is about there. I've never seen one that could create a situation that could create that kind of energy for a cause as like the Red Kettle, and how it feeds and puts shoes on, provides Santa Claus. I've never seen the conduit when you're energized for action by watching it on television. Then you have these millions and millions, 1.5 million volunteers with those red kettles to take the money that then goes to feed. That combination of things and then have all that exposure is mind-boggling.
Jerry, do you think that McCarthy would have approved the turkey legs if Dak didn't ask him in front of you?
Well, I know this, that Mike would be the first in line to help the Salvation Army, and I'm serious. And he's got a heart as big as he is. And so we kind of enjoyed the little dialogue there about a little before the game, and he gave us a little brevity of lightness. And but make no mistake about it, our players plotting to jump in. For instance, Bland had told his coach, his coach, he said, if I should take one back, will you be there to push me in the red kettle? And so his coach came in, Harris came in, and while we were sitting there visiting, and said, what do I do here? And coach was sitting there, and he said, well, ask Jared. I said, by all means, push him in that kettle. Go in there with him if you can. And if you look at that tape, there, Harris, the coach, is sitting up near the bench, and when Bland starts breaking, he's running like a you-know-what down the sideline, trying to get there in time to push him in the kettle.
Jerry Jones here on the Fan.
Great stuff. But again, I can't emphasize enough how unique, what a really gift it is to have that kind of attention and have people, including, but not demeaning, Dolly making it that much better to create more dollars in those red kettles all over this nation. Now, that money stays in the area that's put in that red kettle. I've never seen anything like it. And, of course, it's over the last 27 years, Salvation Army will tell you it incrementally has increased the money going in the red kettles by over $4 billion.
Wow.
That's the power of having those millions watching.
Yes, sir. Jerry, let's talk about this stretch starting Thursday night. A lot of us are viewing this as measuring stick time after you guys have dominated some of the lesser teams. Now you get Seattle, Philadelphia, Buffalo, Miami, Detroit. How are you looking at this upcoming stretch for you guys?
Good question. But I think all you have to do is remember what you did when you played Arizona. And again, you get someone says, well, we get tired of reminding ourselves that anybody can beat you. Well, that's a big key. The team, the players, they've got to focus on who they're in front of out here thirsty. And the stretch is just that. It's important to have us all on top of thinking about what if, but the real deal is how. How do you look at it? You have to look at it over executing on Thursday. Look at it through a player's eyes. And I promise you right now, those players don't have anything on their mind about the next game. They've got it. They've studying every move they make in front of them, getting themselves ready. That's the way you have to approach. It sounds like the old mundane, just got my eye on the next game. It's real. It's real stuff. And if you let your mind wander ahead and look at a Philadelphia or look at anybody way ahead, you'll have a Arizona on your hands, which we lost that game, of course.
Jerry, you know, we obviously here in sports talk radio are always looking for storylines and discussion angles that we can have. And one of them that we've been kicking around lately is just the level of play that Dak Prescott's had. Where does this compare to other stretches that we've seen him throughout his career? Would you say this is the best you've seen Dak Prescott play these last 6 weeks in the time that he's been here?
Yes, I would. Now, he's had some outstanding consistency in his career. He's even in light of the fact that he's had injury to rehab from and had injuries to make adjustments with, that he had to alter what he was doing because of the nuances of the different injuries. That makes it that much more impressive. But there's really, I can definitively say this is the best I've seen him play. I think that I would give Mike McCarthy a lot of credit here because what they've done is really installed. Mike has done a great job of coaching coaching how important it is that they get the fundamentals down of what we're trying to do offensively, what we're trying to do, believe in it, keep working on it, it'll come. And so they've stayed consistent with the changes and what he's trying to do offensively. That's paying off. That's what's working out there is what they've been working on. And that goes for the receivers, routes. That frankly goes for technique in the offensive line. And that goes for the play calling. Mike's very quick to tell you, if you're going to call, you got to install. So Mike's doing the installing, and he's out there with it, and he's got a great feel for what he's going to do. When I, for instance, sit down with him before a game, you sit there and he'll show you his first 15 plays, first 20 plays. So he's scripted out and knows how he wants to start the game.
Jerry, would you vote for Dak or Bland for MVP right now?
Well, I would. I didn't know, since we're speculating here, I might have 5 votes. And I'd load them all up on those 2.
2 + 2 = 5, right? Jerry, did you have any new father advice for Dak?
Well, I'm so proud for him, and we all are. And no one deserves that in his life any more so than Dak. And we all know his story, and so really proud. I will tell you the best thing about all of this for me has been able to work beside and be involved with my children over their adult life and over the last 35 years with the Cowboys and beyond. And obviously, as in everything, it can be times when it's a little messy, but that's the way it is. But boy, let me tell you something else. That if you've got it to where you can function and that's working good, it is not only a rewarding experience for a father. It is absolutely I think a winning whether it's on the field, off the field, business. And I'll never forget, my father-in-law would take me to conventions of his business. And I knew why he was asking me, so because he wanted me to take Jean. And so he wanted to be around her, and I knew that. But he would brag on me, and he'd say, "This is my son, Jerry. He's a Razorback and plays ball, and boy, I could feel my old bones growing. I could feel my old backs growing." I just was getting confidence. And but that was when I was in school. Well, later, things got going pretty good for me. We'd be going to the Southwest Conference games, for instance, see Arkansas A&M or Texas or whatever. And I'd be looking around for who I wanted to take with me, colleagues, business associates, friends. And invariably, the one I wanted to go with me was my mother and father-in-law.
Wow.
That came about because I was in their date book when I was a kid. That's the order of things, and that's what happened. You want them to want to take you when they're rolling and going, and adults, when you're older, take them with you when you're younger.
Great answer. And my final one, we asked Coach this. I want to see, sometimes Miss Jean is sitting next to you, so I want to see how honest you are. Were you 50-50 changing the diapers with her, more or less? Because a lot of my friends somehow have gotten out of changing the diapers, and I was 50-50.
You said be honest.
Yep.
You said really be honest. For whatever the reason, I always, baby, I got to get up at 6:30 to get to work.
I knew it.
Don't you?
Yeah.
I had more reasons to avoid that. When she had Charlotte, well, of course, Stephen stayed back, and you had changeable diapers, but you had to wash the diapers. You didn't have to throw away disposable.
Oh, no.
You don't want to know what You don't want to know what Mount Everest looked like when she returned home in terms of staying after him. And the one that kept him was me to some degree while she was in the hospital. But more importantly, I had an associate that was a man that she knew well and a great longtime friend. So he was helping me out at the house. You can imagine what a mess we made of that.
Jerry Jones delivering gold as you've come to expect with 12 years for us now every Tuesday on the home of America's team, brought to you by Ford. Thank you so much, Jerry. Let's get it done Thursday night.
Thanks, guys.